Hello and welcome. My name is Vinay Tadakjian, Director of Communications and Marketing at the UNLV Graduate College, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our 10th annual Rebel Grad Slam 3-minute thesis competition. The 3-minute thesis or 3MT competition model was developed at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008. It spread to other universities in Australia and New Zealand in 2009 and 2010. By 2011, the 3MT competition phenomena had spread around the globe, and now more than 600 universities from more than 65 countries hold these competitions. In 2014, UNLV held its first 3MT, the Rebel Grad Slam, and this year is our 10th annual Research Rumble. The 3MT is a fantastic opportunity for students to learn how to convey who they are, what they study, why they study it, how they study it, what they found or expect to find, and why it matters to an audience of folks who are mostly outside their field. It is an opportunity to build public speaking and communication skills and to polish one's elevator speech describing what they study as graduate students. It's worth noting that our slammers come from all over campus and from a wide range of disciplines. Some are first-year students, some are in their final year. Some slammers are master's students, others are advanced doctoral candidates. It is a diverse pool of more than 90 graduate students competing here this week. So today we have a group of UNLV graduate students who have been randomly assigned to compete in this preliminary session. Each will present their research in 3 minutes or less using one slide and no props. We will introduce each student and then start the timer. If a student goes over 3 minutes, they will be eliminated from the competition. Slammers are encouraged to pace themselves and use their 3 minutes without going over. It's not easy, but it's what the 3MT is all about. Slammers, please make sure to keep your microphone on mute and video off when other competitors are presenting. Only turn on your microphone and video when you are presenting. Please be sure to stay for the entire session, even after you are done presenting. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat in between presenters. Please don't use chat during anyone's presentation as it may be distracting. You may sit or stand while presenting. You only have 2 minutes and 59 seconds and 1 chance to compete. After I introduce you, our Zoom host will advance to your presentation slide. You may then begin your presentation. Once you begin speaking, we will start the timer and you will not be able to restart your presentation unless something beyond your control occurs. You will be able to see the Zoom timer on your screen on the upper right-hand side. Please don't stop unless we stop you. Don't worry though, if you lose Wi-Fi or are disconnected, please just join back in. We'll wait a minute for you and then go on to the next presenter. If that happens, you can redo your presentation at the end. And please remember that you may not read your presentation or use any notes on your screen or in front of you. Now, let's turn our attention to the scoring for this Research Rumble. The judges will be assessing the competitors based on metrics which total 24 possible points in 4 major areas: comprehension, content, engagement, and communication. Each judge will independently score each competitor. Judges will not penalize competitors for unanticipated disruptions that are beyond the slammer's control. At the end of the presentations, we will tally the judges' combined scores for each grad slammer and announce the winners right here live. The top 3 in this session will advance to the semifinals. I'd like to note that this round of the competition is happening live in Zoom and will be simultaneously aired live on the Graduate College's YouTube channel. To give you a sense of this year's competition, more than 90 students are competing in the preliminary rounds. Around 36 will move on to the semifinals, and only about 9 will advance to the finals at 4 p.m. on Friday, December 1. So, without further ado, let me introduce the judges, and then we'll get on with our 3MT Research Rumble. We have a set of very distinguished judges in today's session. They include Sean Slattery from the College of Fine Arts, Aaron Seiwitz from the Lee Business School, Christine Clark from the College of Education, Jessica Word from the Greenspan College of Urban Affairs, Annalise Grant from the College of Liberal Arts, and Jamie Carbajal from the School of Integrated Health Sciences. Welcome and thank you for serving on our panel of judges today. So we're ready to begin the competition. Our first presenter is Victoria Amato in the Biological Sciences program. You can start when you're ready.
Thank you. Have you ever eaten rice before? The answer to this question is probably yes. Rice, the side dish we all know and love, feeds nearly 3.5 billion people each year. Currently, 1 in 10 people go to bed hungry every night, whether that's due to poverty, wars, or other means of food shortages. A major cause in food shortages in today's world is due to climate change. With climate change on the rise, our land is being impacted in a very significant way. Land is being dried up at an increasingly fast rate, which in turn causes our crops to lose their vigor and eventually die before seeds are ever even produced for our consumption. This creates a global food shortage crisis, and we must sustain our food bank in order for life to continue on. A solution to this problem is to create a genetically modified plant to not only overcome these challenges, but to produce seeds at a rapid pace, potentially before a drought even comes about. In rice, many proteins exist to control many functions in the plant, whether that be photosynthesis, growth, fighting diseases, and so on. With the manipulation of just 2 of these proteins, worky A and worky B, causes a major change to the molecules expressed during seed production and drought. This causes the plant to produce an abundant amount of drought-resistant proteins and therefore allows the plant to live in conditions of very little water. Furthermore, this causes the plant to produce very high amounts of sugar molecules in order to rapidly grow seeds much earlier. Our lab has successfully created a genetically modified rice plant to have these characteristics in order to thrive in these harsh environmental conditions and produce seeds at rapid speeds. We tested this by growing our genetically modified rice in the same conditions as naturally grown rice. And what we found were that seeds were produced much earlier in our genetically modified rice and were able to thrive much better and much longer in drought conditions. So the question is, can we sustain our food bank amidst these devastating environmental conditions by creating a plant that not only overcomes these challenging times, but can produce seeds potentially before a drought even comes about? The answer to this question is yes, we certainly can, and we did. And with that, we can end world hunger, one rice plant at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll give the judges a minute to score. Judges, the next presenter after Victoria's on your rubric was not able to attend today. So once you're done scoring Victoria's, if you can just put on the next presenter's page, just put ones in all of the mandatory fields so that you're able to move on to the third presenter's page. That would be great. Thank you.
I hate to be the person that's having trouble this morning, but the first person on my rubric for this time slot is not Victoria. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I apologize. Never mind.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Yasmine Martinez in the Computer Science program. Please start when you're ready.
Hello, everybody. If everybody could look at the bottom, the photograph at the bottom left, and just imagine how long, just imagine your experience with traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is an issue that affects all of us. And if you ever thought that traffic is getting worse, then you're right. There was a report published by a company named INREX in 2022 that ranked Las Vegas as the 127th worst traffic in a city worldwide. They also stated in the report that our traffic speeds had been on the decline since 2020. In 2020, cars were going 37 miles per hour, and in 2022, they tracked that vehicles were going 28 miles an hour, almost a 10 mile per hour difference. And so with that information, what is causing the traffic congestion and what can be done to alleviate it? While I don't have a complete solution, my dissertation research looks into studying traffic and offers some algorithmic solutions. Let's look at what causes traffic congestion. On the image on the top right, we have this image was pulled from the Federal Highway, the Federal Highway Administration. In a report in 2005, they listed 7 root causes of congestion. These include traffic incidents, work zones, weather fluctuations in normal traffic, and special events. Special events and traffic control devices and physical bottlenecks. Specifically, I'm interested in looking at the traffic control devices, such as poorly timed traffic signals. Poorly timed traffic signals are traffic signals that stay on a red or green light either too little or too long. The reason I'm looking into specifically that root cause is because that's looking at the infrastructure that's in place is the most feasible way to start alleviating some of the traffic. So part of the solution is to adjust traffic signal timings, and to be able to do that, my approach offers a machine learning approach to learn from a data set offered by the Regional Transportation Commission, where they automatically track the various trip information that is captured by their maintenance vehicle trucks. The data set that I'm looking at, sorry, I think that was my time. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll give the judges a minute to score. Just a quick note to the judges, if we can just make sure that you're on presenter number 4 on your rubrics at this point, that would be wonderful. Our next presenter is Katherine Brooke Major in the Public Health Program. You can start when you're ready, please.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take the next few minutes to talk about everybody's least favorite insect, the mosquito. So not only do mosquitoes cause annoying and painful bites, but they can also transmit many deadly diseases to humans very easily. So it's currently estimated that 2/3 of the world's population is at risk of developing a mosquito-transmitted disease. Risk of transmission of these diseases has been increasing across the US in recent years, including here in Nevada. In our local area, we have mosquito species capable of transmitting West Nile virus, Zika virus, dengue fever, and several other harmful diseases, all of which can cause severe neurological disease and even death. The main way to prevent transmission of these diseases is through mosquito control and surveillance efforts. The mosquito control system here in Clark County is run by the Southern Nevada Health District, which performs manual mosquito trapping every summer and then visually identifies each mosquito collected down to the species level. This is a very inefficient, labor-intensive, and ineffective system that is subject to human error. Therefore, there is the need for the development of a new mosquito surveillance system, one that is rapid, accurate, and cost-effective. One potential solution to this problem is the utilization of environmental DNA, otherwise known as eDNA detection techniques. eDNA refers to genetic material that is sampled directly from environment rather than the organism itself. This means that we would be able to monitor the mosquito population here in the valley without ever having to collect an adult mosquito. So here's how it works. We are able to take a small water sample from any potential mosquito breeding site around the local area. We then run that water through a small filter that is able to collect any potential eDNA fragments that are present in the water. We can then take that filter back to the lab and analyze it using common and standardized eDNA detection techniques that will allow us to identify exactly which mosquito species are present in the water and any genetic mechanisms of insecticide resistance that are present in the local mosquito population. This would allow us to optimize control efforts and limit the transmission of mosquito-transmitted diseases. So, in conclusion, the utilization of eDNA is a way to monitor the mosquito population in a rapid, cost-effective, and accurate way. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll give the judges a minute to score. Our next presenter is Kevin Navarete in the Political Science Program. You can begin when you're ready, please.
Have you ever wanted to sue a country, whether to affect some policy change or to express dissatisfaction with how the government handled something? In all likelihood, no, and neither have I, because I've never had to. I've never directed a company, large or small, nor have I made many investments more significant than when I bought a single share in a company when I was 10, let alone one that transcended national borders. Fortunately, for those with closer ties to global markets, there's a way to sue a country. In fact, through a few remarkable institutions, there's a few ways to litigate an issue with a country in an international court. Of course, you might ask, why would anyone want to do this? Well, there's a few reasons, but they all have a common denominator: money. And whether it be due to expropriation, which is when a government decides to take your money, unfair competition, like when the government gives money to competitors, or even if the country being invested in falls apart due to civil war or conflict, there's an excess number of reasons why an investor might want to sue a country. However, underlying all of this is a more important concept than money: international justice. And in a world as wavering as ours, justice matters, particularly concerning money, because it is what dictates whether, for example, Ecuadorian villagers get help for health issues arising from nearby oil wells, or if elderly victims of a Ponzi scheme recover some of their retirement. And as much as many might take issue with international corporations like those big oil companies I just mentioned, they ultimately deserve justice as well, at least as far as their economic investments are concerned. The world economy wouldn't last very long if property were to go unprotected, after all. Precisely this justice that I study in my thesis, the distributive type of justice that seeks to rectify government's wrongdoings. More specifically, I'm interested in determining why certain parties are awarded more money than others, and why specific government actions are not punished as harshly as other actions. In other words, am I right to think that international justice is important? Or do those scary oil companies systematically get preferential treatment over other interests? Ultimately, I've found a good deal of evidence to be an optimist about international justice, to rest assured that some of this world's problems are being solved with a view to the right outcome, as opposed to what best lines executives' pockets. Those villagers and elderly victims I talked about, for example, they were recompensed for what befell them, along with plenty of other large oil companies as well. And just as importantly, I'm learning a lot about what to do if I ever find myself in a situation where I have to sue a country. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give the judges a minute to score. Our next presenter is Taylor Flaherty in the Anthropology program. You can begin when you're ready, please.
Good morning. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about transgender and gender diverse people. These are individuals whose gender identity does not align with their assigned sex at birth or who have some sort of non-binary sexual characteristics. I wish I could talk to you and say that these individuals have been embraced and celebrated by our community, but that simply is not true. Instead, the Western world has a long and storied history of persecuting transgender and gender diverse individuals. Some of this persecution is active, such as the surge in anti-transgender legislation currently seen in the United States. But some of it is more passive, such as the absence of any federal or state agency tracking transgender and gender diverse deaths. Instead, independent grassroots organizations such as the TDOR are working to track this information. I am working to analyze this data because how we treat trans death is often indicative of how we treat trans life. The TDOR database has information of trans decedents dating back to 1970. The volunteers at TDOR work diligently to record information about these premature deaths. And by premature, we mean untimely, unnatural deaths, such as those that result from homicides, suicides, gendered medical intervention, or police custody. Today, I want to show you the preliminary results that we have, which show that these deaths are overwhelmingly violent. Of the individuals housed in this database, you can see that at least 83% have died from interpersonal violence, and these are often brutally transphobic attacks, often involving beatings, stabbings, shootings, and even torture. And they also impact individuals of all ages within the community, from infants who are killed from having quote unquote ambiguous genitalia to trans elders who are attacked in their final moments. I am working to explore this data to answer timely research questions. How, where, why, and when are trans people dying? What are the social factors impacting these deaths? How are these individuals being treated after death? Are the police solving these cases? These are all questions that deserve answers. I am going to be exploring this further because understanding trans deaths will help us preserve trans lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we'll give the judges a minute to score. Our next presenter is Darlin Mag in the Couple and Family Therapy Program. You can begin when you're ready, please.
1 in 5 adults live with a mental health condition. That's about 50 million Americans, and the number keeps increasing. Mental health conditions can affect any race, income, culture, and education level. Even with more discussion, there is still a stigma around mental health. Now, imagine a woman of color who's expecting or who has just given birth, and to hear from others, "You should be so happy. You must love your baby so much. You're such a strong mom." However, they're experiencing symptoms of this constant worry about their baby's health or not being able to connect with their baby. If it lasts longer than the common baby blues, these can be diagnosed as a prenatal mood disorder like postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. But how do you tell others how you truly feel without the shame and stigma? The stigma of mental health, the medical mistrust, and the language barrier can all cause moms of color to not seek services, as either they might be seen as a bad mother and or their child might be taken to CPS. If a mom of color does seek professional help, then it can signify a sense of failure. Roughly 1 in 5 moms experience a prenatal mood disorder, and suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death in maternal health. So, just a quick recap of a prenatal mood disorder. It's the overall term for a mental health disorder during pregnancy and during the postpartum period. It's the most disabling mental health condition. In addition, evidence supports that the prenatal mental health care is important to emphasize during all stages of pregnancy in order to know that the mom is feeling supported and cared for during a vulnerable time. So, in a qualitative, semi-structured study with the support from my advisor, I plan to interview 6 to 10 OBGYNs who are currently in residency or who have experience in the field within a variety of settings in Las Vegas, Nevada. I plan to first investigate the practices of what OBGYNs are doing to first moms of color and how they are able to help with education, screening, and treatment. In addition, how they are able to increase support in the healthcare system. Overall, as a woman of color myself, I have seen the impact that an untreated prenatal mood disorder has not only on the mom, the child, and the family system entirely. So I hope with this study, I can continue this ongoing conversation about prenatal mood disorders and the overall mental health for moms of color. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give the judges a minute to score. Last presenter is Elaine Aquino in the neuroscience program. Please begin when you're ready.
Hi, so before I start, I'd like to introduce you to Ariana. She is one of 1,000 girls that are living with a disorder known as Rett syndrome. So Rett syndrome is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects brain development and is often characterized by recurring seizures throughout development. Unfortunately for Ariana and many like her, there is no known cure for Rett syndrome, and oftentimes many of the treatments are used to just increase the quality of life, but they don't actually treat any of the symptoms overall. And this is due in part to our limited understanding of all of the aspects of the brain that are affected during development, specifically within Rett syndrome. In the brain, we know that there is a very highly specialized portion of a neuron known as the action initial segment, which is important for the initiation of something known as an action potential, which when done in excess can actually lead to seizures. So we know that this particular part is most likely affected due to the increased incidence of seizures in Rett syndrome. So we're really interested in understanding some of the factors that change the morphology of this segment, because we know that by changing the morphology, you can actually change the efficacy of this component in initiating the action potential. However, there is issues analyzing this particular part of the brain because there's so many neurons in a brain. Roughly, for example, there's 86 billion neurons in the human brain, and there's roughly 70 billion in a mouse, indicating there's about 86 billion neurons that need to be analyzed with axons within a human brain that need to be analyzed. And unfortunately, that's incredibly time-consuming and laborious. So I've created a program that's designed to speed up the process of analyzing these axon initial segments to get to the cause and the factors that are changing the morphology of this particular segment, to therefore get to more therapeutic interventions at a quicker pace. So using test data from two different types of mouse strains, particularly a wild type and an MECP2 rat model mouse, we've been able to show that in the AAS, in these particular, in wild type and MECP2, in MECP2, these AASs are not only longer, but they also tend to be more tortuous, indicating that these two factors can actually change how quickly and how efficaciously an action potential can cross through the action initial segment, giving us a hint as to what could possibly be causing all of these seizures. So in all, I've been able to develop a program that can accurately reproduce data that's already been out there, and it does it at a much quicker pace, which will then aid in the discovery of critical periods and factors to guide the development.
Thank you all so much for joining us for our preliminary round. A special thank you to the Grad Academy team that has made this 3MT event possible. Now, please just stay tuned. We'll announce winners live in just a few minutes. Judges, please be sure to press submit at the bottom of your scoring rubric form when you are done scoring. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. The scores are in. So while only the top 3 winners of this round will progress to the semifinal round, you will all be winners of a Rebel Grad Slam t-shirt. You can get yours during the Rebel Grad Slam finals reception. For the preliminary rounds, the first place winner receives $300, second place winner receives $200, and third place winner receives $100. Are you ready? Here are the winners for this preliminary session. First place is Taylor Flaherty, second place, Darlin Mag, and third place, Katherine Major. Congratulations to you all. Thanks again for your participation to everyone, and please join us for the semifinal round on Thursday, November 30 at 9 and 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. in the Student Union Philip J. Cohen Theater, and the final round on Friday, December 1 at 4 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. Lastly, we will have your Rebel Grad Slam t-shirts available at the finals reception at 5 p.m. in the Greenspun lobby. We welcome you to RSVP for the final event with the link that's in the chat. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.